Feel-Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back as we hit the cinema. Of course, it's a massive week for film. Cannes, it doesn't matter. We want the films. And of course, we're going to take it on a trip around the world cinematically, courtesy of JP Sebastian, who's been sinking his teeth into some of the releases that look pretty exciting. No release dates here in South Africa, but obviously the world focusing on
be
Cannes.
part of some festival eventually. Is it Cannes or is it Cannes? Someone send us a voice note.
Yeah, please, a French person, please send us a note.
Or
So let's talk about
worst Pepe Le Pew accent.
the mother of all lies.
Yeah, and hey, you know what, South Africans, if we were also psyched about supporting Morocco during the World Cup, which I was, I'm sure you were.
Yeah, we all got on that bus, yeah.
And then, yeah, when this comes to SA, I'm sure that we're all going to be behind the mother of all lies. It is this fantastic mix that very few documentarians are trying and getting right. It's a weird thing, and I'd remind you of, I mean, if you've seen it, then you're lucky, but it's also really harrowing. Go watch something like The Act of Killing by Joshua Oppenheimer. Greatest documentary ever made. Ridiculous.
Wow, The Act of Killing, okay.
Well, I say that with a warning. Be very careful about watching that documentary, very hairy. And yeah, similarly, what the documentarian does is blends fiction with non-fiction. And so Ismail Al-Mudir wants to discover what are these weird gaps in her memory of her childhood, the director of this documentary. And so questions her mother, who has all these cryptic one-liners. She's almost like bewitching and hypnotic in a way, even though she's just a mom. Builds a set then in their own home of what Casablanca in Morocco looked like back in the day, and has them play out these memories, because apparently all she has from her childhood is a photo of a little girl that's not even her. What the movie does is tie in her personal experience with the political experience of what Morocco was going through during what they refer to as the bread riots in the 80s. Man, as an African, I really should know more about this. But these visuals are really, to use that word that I abused earlier, like hypnotic and trancing.
And very intimate and
there you go.
Close.
There you go. I like that. Like you don't actually see anyone in full. It's only ever fractured parts.
You feel like you're lying next to them the whole time.
And it feels like they're lying to you, right? Because you're not seeing the whole picture. So
that's incredible.
I look forward to this. This is in the uncertain regard. I said that terribly. I'm not French. Cut me slack. I'm African.
Yeah, hence the Cannes
in that category. It's obviously not the most prestigious category, but it is a pretty high up category, and it is a contender in there, nominated in the competitive section of Cannes in 2023. I'm excited about the way that looks.
Yeah, it looks beautiful and very powerful. Fallen Leaves. Take us to Helsinki to find love.
What a strange poster. That is a haphazardly photoshopped dog in the middle. They really... Aki Kaurismäki has a history with weird comedy, and he's a fantastic director, and he's one of the greats. And if you go study film and media at any university...
The thing is, you can't recreate a look of angst like that, okay? That's a moment in time.
It's so badly done.
That's a moment in time. Okay, so this looks like a very odd connection. Take us through this love story.
You're trying to be very diplomatic. But no, he's known for his goofy comedies, but in the setting of people who are completely bland. I really miss, and I joked about this last week, movies about losers. Everything has to be slick and alpha and all that kind of stuff. But dude, 8 billion of us, most
How about
of us
the rest of us? Yeah.
are just trying to figure it out. And so Aki Kaurismäki makes these movies, which, by the way, even though he's so obsessed with flatness and blandness, they're so beautiful visually. The composition, look at that, almost chiaroscuro, which is sort of like his surname, types lighting. The photographic composition. So these two people, there we go. You know what I'm saying? You can see
dude,
just
it looks like a photo come to life. Yeah, for sure. A dated photo come to life.
And in the most normal, banal settings that we find ourselves, whether a pub, a laundromat, or in her blue-collar line of work, both of these people are blue-collar people who, through their entire existences, the characters have never experienced love, and it didn't seem to be a problem for them until this night that these star-crossed people find each other. Look at that. I mean, even that, just someone working in a factory, there's beauty all around us at the same time that mocks us in our loneliness. Yeah, he's got this very humanistic way of dealing with comedy, that these two strangers, like I said, don't know each other's names. They hit it off with just crossing each other in the street, and they wonder if they'll ever see each other again. Very lonely people. But Aki Kaurismäki is very, it's never laughing at people, it's laughing with people.
Him, yeah.
And even if the humor is super cruel, look at the poignancy in just a shot like that. It's got a noir feel to it too. This is in the category of Palme d'Or. We all know that name. Last year was Ruben Östlund who won that, who is now obviously on the jury, and he will be one of the people who selects.
It's big.
It's got a huge chance of winning, and hilariously is called the fourth part in the trilogy, his Proletariat trilogy. So Aki Kaurismäki, if you want to know more about good cinema, this is the guy you got to see. see it will come to SA at some point.
It's a schooling. I love that.
It
a
is.
schooling. Now take us to China for Only the River Flows.
Oh man, we've been getting some really interesting stuff from Asian cinema in terms of like just those detective sort of thrillers and mystery with this weird feel.
Supernatural almost vibe to it.
Yeah,
There's
because it
something
has
cool,
to do, again, similar to what we were talking about, like The Mother of All Lies, these sort of like hidden or covered pasts and all that kind of stuff. So last we had was Decision to Leave from Korea. And we've had, you know, oh man, some great offerings just from Korea. But like you say, this one is from China. And the story from the author who you saw there at the front, who previously was with Zhang Yimou in 1994 at the Cannes. So this author who wrote the book has experience making these movies and has a huge chance of winning then again. Story being is that they're always set in these kind of dorps in China. Going through, wait, are we remembering the past the way we thought we did? There's a string of murder. Like a string of murders, serial killings that might be attached to some larger traumatic sort of like historic presence, but we'll find out more when that does come to some sort of festival year, maybe a Chinese film festival, maybe an art film festival, but we owe it to ourselves. Support the small ones too, not just the Fasts and the Furious.
Well, it's a different lens to look at cinema through. The color, the light and shade, the stories, the
Even
things
that was pretty, eh?
But this is it. You pick up so much just from the visual impact. Do yourself a favor. Go and track the films that he's tracking because there is something magical there.
Connor can.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Cine no evil, yeah, my friends. JP Sebastian is back to break it down once again. We're going to take a look at some of the heavy hitters, those big films that everyone's excited about. Trailers are coming out, Mission Impossible, the latest installment. But before we get there, let's hone in on a property that is an actual property that's haunted, that we have seen before. Very much a part of, as you try to explain it to me, the Disney ecosystem, not just the celluloid, but
sweet.
this form.
The celluloid.
Yeah, okay, so this sell you hard, sell you soft, celluloid. Haunted Mansion, what's it about? Is it the same film? Is it different?
Haunted Mansion is exactly the same film you're thinking of, and similar to the vein of, remember with Pirates of the Caribbean, it was based on a ride that Disney had, and they wanted to promote the ride, and the movie became bigger than the ride. Haunted Mansion is also a ride at Disneyland, but I was happy to see some of these big faces.
Danny DeVito, baby.
Danny D, Trollfoot, Lakeith Stanfield, obviously, who people, I think, got their first sort of tiny introduction, was amazing in Get Out, you know, remember the nosebleed scene? And then please, people, do go watch Sorry to Bother You. It is an incredible movie. But aside from that, we've got Haunted Mansion is out this, well, July 28th in South Africa. So luckily, it's not one of these straight-to-streaming situations. And what I like is, you know, sometimes, look, a certain amount of horror or like being caught on the edge of your seat for a kid is important in life.
Yeah.
Like knowing that there are threats out there and that you have the bravery like these characters to navigate those threats. So it is a kid's horror movie in this way. And aside from that, Tiffany Haddish, you've got, oh man, Rosario Dawson, gorgeous woman, and just incredible actress, more importantly than all of that nonsense.
Phenomenal, yeah.
And story being is that a mother buys an old mansion, finds that it is haunted. Owen Wilson is back. Where's he been this whole time?
For sure.
Does he even have a part in the new Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City? I can't remember offhand. But we will find out more about this come July 28th in SA. Like I said, maybe a good breath of fresh air for your kids, not necessarily to see everything is like a bed of roses.
Yeah, a little bit of a thrill ride.
And it is
nothing
supposed
wrong.
to be a comic angle. I've got to be honest and say that, well, there you got Hassan Minhaj as well, famous comedian, that the comedy in the trailer might not necessarily be for the grown-ups. It might be too sort of bland for folks, but think of stuff like Night at the Museum, Ben Stiller.
There are layers to it, which is great. We love that. Let's get into Surrounded.
So, I mean, little ones like even Danny DeVito deserve their
Big time, man. I love it.
Take Colin, Danny. So, Surrounded is the one that you just mentioned. When was the last time that we've had Westerns? There's been this interesting research. Even in South Africa, we released 2 Westerns in the past 5 years or something like that.
Both,
you know,
amazing.
Five Fingers for Marseille, etc., etc. And yeah, we have Letitia Wright, who most recently obviously was Black Panther. For everyone. I don't know if I spoiled that for you. I'm sure the whole world has seen this by now. And finds herself in a Western, finds herself alongside an actor that we both have a big spot in our heart for, Jamie Bell.
Yeah.
And he's also one of these young talents. Say the name of the movie that people don't give enough credit to, The Eagle.
The Eagle with Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Don't laugh. Don't knock it. It's beautiful, man.
Critics weren't sweet on that movie, but we were. We've got a soft spot. And similarly, similar to The Eagle, remember that Channing Tatum and him had this dynamic of, well, who's the hostage taker and who's the owner, who's the slave, etc.,
love
etc.
that dynamic.
And where you're forced to lean on each other in a tough situation, whether you hate each other or love each other. And Letitia Wright is a Buffalo soldier who, from the heart of America, sorry, good morning, everyone. Never gonna have to listen to me sing for the rest of the segment. And she is ambushed by a bunch of outlaws in the Wild West of the United States, where she takes captive Jamie Bell, this excellent young actor. And they have to then navigate their way through realizing, wait, who is this fight for? Because you're a black woman in a country that sort of doesn't want you in this time that she was in, and well, arguably present day as well.
Yeah.
And he's an outlaw, both of them outcasts in their own way. Why would she drag, his butt all the way through the desert to appease who, and for what ends exactly, if she's just going to get her butt beaten by the end of the day too? So I think there was a recent TV series that had a similar sort of dynamic, Kate Winslet, and there was an actor of First Nations origin in the United States too. So these are interesting conversations, especially, you've got women of color and you've got, people who are marginalized, in the case, the criminalized in the United States. No date for this, and they say, oh man, Michael Keith, or Kenneth Williams, this was his last movie, one of the greatest actors who ever lived. He died last year, and this was the last movie that he made, so this is the last chance you get to see him in action. Obviously, if you love The Wire, you love that man. He was the heart and soul of it.
Beautiful.
And who is in the mood for Western once in a while?
Yeah, and I love it because it also tells a modern narrative in an old way, which might fly under the radar. I absolutely love that.
Which a lot of these Westerns really are trying to do, like trying to reapproach these questions of masculinity. All that stuff was macho, Clint Eastwood, getting every man he wanted with like a single bullet and whatever. But these questions really have to be asked about the mythos that we built around the Wild West, and if that can be transplanted into the way we conceive ourselves today, whether as men, whether as society.
Played a part, 100%. All right, very quickly, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. It sounds like just a normal Tuesday for Ethan Hunt.
Show the front end, show the reel. And your normal Tuesday is like a near-death experience for Tom Cruise every single day. This dude lies in bed and just thinks about, wait, when next can I die and how? Like he's just watching, like, I don't know, scientific endeavors, like how can I jump into a black hole? Christopher Nolan needs to hook up with this guy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is a mad person. Guys, July 14th in South Africa, I have a lot of respect for who they refer to lovingly as the white man's Jackie Chan. This stunt, good grief, 6 times that he jumped off a cliff and parachuted from a scrambler. JP just needs to hoe his back at this point. This trailer only came out last night. And dude, an amount of profanities and expletives that I want to use that I can't use on live TV. It is so exciting. I'm so excited about some of the look of this. Like even tiny details, like as a Metal Gear Solid fan. There we go. There's our Metal Gear Solid look. Rebecca Ferguson, Lady Jessica, Tom Cruise, July 14th. We're going to have me in more cogent English words than just my weird screech of excitement.
No, we are not. If our history speaks anything, we're going to become bigger 3-year-olds the closer we get to the release of this film. Likewise, June, any film that gets us this excited is there for the winner. Absolutely love it, JP. Thank you so much for doing the deep dive,
John
my
Wick,
friend.
the only action movies left. Anyway, see you tomorrow to talk about Fast and Furious.